Hi all, and welcome back to my last video of this year's Cheltenham Festival, where I give my final selections for day 4 of the festival while covering the day 2 action, because I'm here on the Wednesday. It's at 5:10, so the last race, the champion bumper, hasn't been run yet. It's been a nearly day. I suppose the first 2 days have not quite done it, but just they're not far away, but they're not quite getting there. You know, Sam Crow was absolutely superb. Monolith, no excuses really, ran a superb race. Maybe in hindsight, he probably should have run in the 2.5. Presenting Percy was absolutely epic. They pulled miles clear. Album photo would have been placed if he hadn't fallen. And of course, poor old Ruby Walsh looks like he's broken the same leg, which is a shame. Then we moved on. Carl Cup, unless you were the one punter that managed to get Burbank each way on, was it Coral, I think, who were doing 7 places. Then I was nowhere in that. Max Dynamite didn't jump anywhere near well enough, and Burbank came 7th. But, you know, I wouldn't be claiming that as an each way bet now. The disappointment was the champion chase. I don't know what to make of it, because in the end Altior has run clear, and I understand that, and on ITV and stuff like that, they really want to big him up. He's the big English horse, and he's beaten Min, and he's beaten Min really well, and there was so much to like about it. Am I the only one? And I could well be, and I could be completely wrong, obviously, because as my tips are showing, I'm not right about everything. In fact, I'm not right about most things. But Jesus, Duvan looked like he was going to win. Like, I know he's a long way from home, but my God, he was travelling with such zest, and he was the one that had gotten Altior slightly off the bridle, I think. People were saying he hit a flat spot, Altior. I think he genuinely did. He was just flat to the boards all the way around. Perhaps that wasn't his ground, and maybe on better ground he'd have travelled better, but Jesus, Duvan. For a comeback run, I know he's ended up falling, but my God, every ounce of ability is still there. He could still be a champion in time. He's so nimble to jump on the whole. I don't know what happened. It was the most accomplished 9 jumps I'd ever seen before that happened. But it happens. It's horse racing. The big get out of jail for me here on day 2 was Tiger Roll. I was a bit up in the air because of the ground, but 7-1. What a price in the end. He ran very well. Keith Dunhu gave him a smasher. Bless the Wing. God, what happened to Bless the Wings? He went to one of the banks and just stopped. Well, thanks for that, Bless the Wings. Causes ran no race. Surprising. Well, not surprisingly, but I don't know. I wasn't sure about him this year. As for Tiger Roll, I was a bit more confident on. And I think if it had been good ground, he could have won the race by 10 lengths, because it was all in favour of the Last Samurai, and he still couldn't do it. I'm not a big fan. If there's anything I can take, any sort of slight hint of wisdom I would give you about cross-country racing, is never back a horse who is having his first run over cross-country. I know they school over them, but it's not the same thing. They piddle over them when they're schooling. Anyway, that's another story. Fred Winter's just been run. Look My Ways ran a poor race. Act of Valour shaped quite well, but didn't get up the hill. Veneer of Charm. I could have been a long, long time looking at the Fred Winter before placing Veneer of Charm. Anyway, we go into the bumper. I must confess I've had a little bit on Black Bow. I don't know how he'll run. I've got carefully selected and know the score, a small each way bet. Anyway, finally, day 4. Let's try and bang through these. I don't think there's that much difference in my tips, really. But obviously just getting to the bottom of it. Try and Fertile, I'm still going to oppose Apple Shakira. She's shortened again, which is probably fair because she'll like the ground. I'm still going to side with Radish. He's into 7-2. He was 9-2 in the last video. Yeah, he has a chance. I don't know. I don't think he'll be quite as kind of visually impressive, and certainly not being able to kind of go through the race with the same zest in this ground. But it kind of depends what happens tomorrow and on Friday weather-wise. as to what the ground will be like. Because if it has another drying day, you know, by Friday it mightn't be that bad ground. So I'm going to stick with him. And I'm sticking to the two Mullins lads each way, Mr. Adjudicator and Saldier. I don't know what's going to happen now. Stormy Ireland, because Ruby Walsh won't ride. I don't know whether Paul Townend goes on to Stormy Ireland, and therefore somebody else comes into Mr. Adjudicator. Perhaps Danny Mullins or something. I don't think he's jocked up on anything here, because David's on Saldier. And I think Noel Feely's on Sao. So perhaps Danny Mullins gets a ride here. He's riding carefully selected in 15 minutes' time. But anyway, that's that for the county hurdle. I'm gonna side with Rhodesia. Or sorry, and that was the Triumph hurdle. The county hurdle, Blue A Rouge here, I think is still the bet at 12-1. I think he's one of the more solid options. The issue is that he's top weight, and in this ground, you know, top weight is going to be a big struggle, I think. Although Blueberry carried a fair chunk there, but like Veneer Charm was right down the end of the handicap. So it's difficult to know, really. But hopefully he runs a decent race. In terms of each way, I think I put a bunk off early. It didn't end up getting not supplemented, just entered. So I think I'm going to switch onto another Mullins runner here in Sands End. Apparently, well, he ran very well last time. He won the Limestone Lad Hurdle at Naas, a grade 3 from Forge Meadows. Been an improving mare this year for Jessica Harrington. He has a chance. Like, he's been kind of quietly fancied by a few people for whatever handicap he turns up in. But he's turned up here at 14-1. I think he's not bad price, and he'll replace bunk off early as my each way bet for the county. I'm not really seeing value in anything else there, so I'd be leaving it perhaps with those two. Blue A Rouge is the favourite, but he's a 12-1 favourite. Like, that's not that bad. 12-1 we could take. Anyway, Albert Bartlett, I think I'm going to stick again. Like, it's Santini here. I think in the ground won't help, obviously. But they think he's really good, Nicky Henderson, and who am I to doubt Nicky, especially after what he's done with Bouvardere and Altior here. The big mover has been Chris's Dream, which I tipped up. I wouldn't be able to know for sure, but I think at like 14 to something. He's now 6-1 because the rain has come, and I still think like he's probably not an each way proposition now at 6-1. Well, certainly not in my book. I think they kind of need to be. For proper each way value, you want to be looking at double figure prices, in my eyes. But anyway, you could if you felt like it. But Chris's Dream maybe is more now of a winning bet at 6-1, and he could be almost a more solid option than Santini, as we all know he'll stay and loves the ground. And the one I'm actually purring at here is Ballyward, who I tipped up as a 33-1 roughie for this race. I just had a slight feeling he was going to run in it, and I've a feeling he's the horse, even though he hasn't run over 3 miles before. This will just be right up his street. He just seems an all-out galloping type. Ruby Walsh, before he got obviously injured, was down to ride him. Again, I don't know what will happen booking-wise. Real Steel is with Townend, Fabulous Saga and Danny Mullins. David Mullins doesn't have a ride, so you would reckon David Mullins will get a go here. He's been riding some of these wily horses this week, so perhaps he comes in for Ruby there. But Ballyward, he's now at 14-1. He's still an each way proposition at that. And I think he just has the right type of profile for a race like this, actually. Moving on to the Gold Cup, Mike Bite's been a bit uneasy, I think, because of the ground at 4-1. Native River at 4-1, I don't like Native River at 4-1, actually. I put him up initially, I know. He was at kind of 6-1 back then. I thought that was more his price. And plus, I did prefer sizing, John. And since I've seen this rain, I look more and more, and I just love our Duke more and more. I love the Harrington team. I was all over sizing John for this race, but he's unfortunately been ruled out, and our Duke has been left there for us. If he can get round safe, he's been plunged in now. He's 5-1, 11-2 in places. So people want our Duke. They can't have enough of him at the moment. He's the mover of the race, along with Definitely Red. Now, see, I don't want to come out with a rash statement because I know people are going to pin me if he ends up winning. But it'll be, I know, we'll do it because I don't really care if you give me abuse. But if you think Definitely Red is good enough to win a Gold Cup, you need to go get yourself checked. Like, what are you basing it on? What? He beat American, who should have run, he's running in this, but should have run in one of the handicaps, and Bristol de May, who is a Grade 1 horse at one track. And he's barely a good handicapper everywhere else. I just don't know. It's the rain, obviously, but he's gone from 16s to 8s. Like, what are we basing this on? He is not going to win a Gold Cup. If he wins a Gold Cup, like, it makes Lord Windermere look a great horse. It makes Lord Windermere look like Courtauld Star if Definitely Red ends up winning this race. I've nothing against the horse, actually, by the way. And he's the type of horse, if he was in the National, I think would have a big chance. Again, obviously, he ran in it last year. Things didn't go quite right for him. That wasn't really his fault. But I just can't have him at this level. I really can't. I think he's a Grade 2, Grade 3 / very good handicapping type. What else did I put up in? It was Native River Sizing John, I think. Are they the two? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, Manila Rocco. He's out the window. Can't have Manila Rocco in this ground. That was my stipulation when I put it up initially. He's actually drifted. He was 20 to 1 when I said he's now 25 to 1. That's good tipping for you, isn't it? But anyway, Kalulta Vic here. The jumping holds up. He's got every chance at 9s. I think, actually, as an each way bet, I don't think, as much as really they shouldn't, and I know people are going to, again, pin me because I've just said Definitely Red isn't good enough. But both at 33 to 1, you mightn't be doing too much worse at that price than Jackadam and Outlander in this ground. Outlander's a difficult horse to know. He's either very good or very bad. And unfortunately, almost every time he's run in England, he's been very bad. And every time he runs at Leopardstown, my local track, he's been very good. So I think Outlander's a smashing horse, because every time I see him at Leopardstown, he wins or comes placed. Jackadam, it's like Faugheen earlier in the week. We all know it probably won't happen, but I want to, if it did happen, if he won and I hadn't backed it, I'd be shooting myself. So that's the way it is. Cheltenham, the Fox Hunters. I'm going to stick with Fox Rock. This reign will be to Fox Rock's great pleasure. And on the fringe, he's now back into 14 to 1. Why not? Why not on the fringe? Go on. He still ran a good race in it last year, even though he came 4th. I think he could run a good race again. Martin Pipe, I now have a bit more of a gist of it. James Bones on D's to Beef. I know, because I put it up very, very cautiously last time, but Early Doors looks actually not a bad little horse for this race. At 10 to 1, JJ Slevin in the saddle. Won this race last year, did JJ on Champagne Classic. Has a very good chance for Joseph O'Brien, I think. But more so, I think Deal Destruval at 11 to 1 for WP and Liam Gilligan. I think he's got outstanding claims, really. He's snuck in here off a featherweight, having come second in the Coral Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think he's got a good chance. 10 to 1 and 11 to 1 in that race. And finally, Grand Annual, again, hasn't really changed. The ground has changed, which won't help the two horses I'm putting up. But I'm going to go for them anyway. Don't touch it at 7 to 1. He is the favourite now for Mark Walsh. Mark Walsh will be brimming full of confidence, having had an absolute stinker on any second now. He's gone and done the business on Blueberry. And a boy, Mark. He is a good jockey usually. I didn't like his ride on any second now, but sure, that's just tough shit, isn't it? and I'd give a little sneak each way, 20-1 Rock the World. The ground won't be his, but you might. I think he's worth a little go each way in that race. It's usually an absolutely terrible race. You might want to get on Don't Touch It, because there's always a McManus plunge in this race, the last race. Punters trying to get out of it with a big winner. And either Don't Touch It, Bouvroy, La Presienne, or Rock the World will be very well backed. I can almost guarantee that. Possibly even one of the Bouvroys or something like that. But anyway, that's day 4. At this stage, I'll be a bit sad because obviously the Cheltenham Festival will be over. It's been a smashing 2 days so far. I think actually, given the ground, it's given us a lot of stuff we wanted to see. You know, Sam Crow was still really, really good. Presenting Percy was really good. Altior was really good. And we saw Duvan for the majority of the race, obviously, that he was still standing. Still holds a lot of his ability. And Min ran his race. I think he's not good enough. Like, I think he was beaten again, 6-7 lengths. He was beaten by Altior 6-7 lengths in the Supreme. So it's kind of just gone on. I don't think there was anything to two of them. And on the first day, Bouverdare, he won. He showed a different side than we thought he had, really. Well, certainly I thought he had. He dug a lot deeper than I thought he could. The Supreme, I think actually Kalashnikov was the run to take from the Supreme, but Somerville avoided very well. And footpad. What's more to say? Ruby Walsh and footpad, probably the best. Won't be topped as the best performance, I think, of the festival, even at this early stage. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did so, give it a like and subscribe below, and give me your tips in the comments below for day 4's racing. As always,